panels up there.
Mm-hmm.
You just do little lights on the left.
There it is. Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
so now you can see it.
Awesome. I'm gonna try to point it to you so I can see you talking.
Yay. Oh, that's what I'm doing.
Oh, you got that.
So
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
you can do your
Thanks.
thing.
Yeah, so they can have your little thing. So
Mhm.
great. No need to, hog the spotlight.
Mhm.
All right, so shall we just get going then?
Yeah, we'll probably have people stumble in.
Perfect. No worries. Okay, so I am Kristen. I'm from Yellowgate Designs. I'm the lead stager and I'm also a professional organizer. And
I am Jessica. I'm the interior designer at Yellowgate Designs.
Oh, fun.
And we usually have our fearless leader, Christy, here. She's also a certified professional home stager, but she was not able to make it. So you guys get us today. We've already been to your office before, so we didn't want to go over all the same exact things that we've talked about before, but we will touch on, what home staging is a little bit in our presentation. But we want to talk about selling to your sellers. I think a lot of you guys already know what staging is. You've seen, the difference it makes in homes, but you have a roadblock, and that is your seller. Getting them to buy and understand why staging is an investment for them. So hopefully this addresses that and gives you some ammo of how you can respond to them if they have pushback. Okay, so selling to sellers, main key factors here is making this staging be an expectation. This is how we do it. We stage our homes. So kind of starting straight out the gate with that expectation that that's just part of how you guys do your listings. There you go.
Oh, this is great.
So this is how we do it, just kind of letting them know that's the norm for you, and then being ready for their questions after that. Okay, so this is how we do it part. We set the expectation that we stage all our houses from the get-go. It's part of the process. Staging is a step that not everybody offers, so it's something that you can use as a selling point for your services. It's a bonus that you offer to them. And because you use a team of professionals, it adds credibility to you. You're not just using, Martha down the street who kind of knows how to put pillows and keep away. You're using certified professional home stagers that have gone through training, that know the psychology behind staging a home and not just making it pretty. So then the be in the know what kind of service is needed. There's more than one service that we offer that can be helpful. Know how much it's going to cost. I know a lot of your sellers probably want to know the nitty gritty, like, okay, get down to business. How much is this going to cost me? Know a process and a timeline, and know the why. And we're hoping to get you guys some materials that you can kind of brand. We can co-brand together, that you can have a little cheat sheet that you can hand out to your sellers. In your little, I know like little packets you give them sometimes when you meet with them in the beginning. That'll break down, the costs and just be really transparent with that. So I think we skipped through the why.
Oh, there was no other slides on that one.
Oh, okay. So we'll go through the why in this one. So partner with us for a successful outcome. We're going to go through the points that are on your page here, and then I also have some little before and afters on there because they're always fun. So knowing our services, the first one is a staging consultation. This is where one of our certified stagers, myself or Christy, would go out to the home. Your seller's still living there, all their things are still in there. We would go out for up to 2 hours, go room to room with a checklist, having your seller write down all of our recommendations for things to add, take away, edit down to make that listing look its best before you guys get your photographer in there and get that listed. So we spend up to 2 hours. We use our little buyer's eyes and we tell them how they can stage what's already in the home. We're not bringing anything of ours in. We're just giving them our knowledge and expertise in how to get that home right. Occupied or semi-vacant, so the home might have some furnishings, they packed some stuff and gotten rid of it. Maybe some things were better off out of there, so we had them kind of get them out. But we're going to be bringing in some of our inventory to supplement that. So our professional stager, we would go in, add that special touch. They're sometimes living in the house or sometimes they're not. So it's kind of a mix of theirs and ours. And then vacant, we do this on empty houses. Either the seller's already moved on somewhere else or it's a new construction situation. We have a base package that we do at minimum. It's the foyer, living room, dining room, kitchen, and the primary suite, bed and bath. We also can add in other rooms a la carte and do, office spaces, big bonus rooms. Any room that you walk into and you're like, what the heck is this? Or it's an awkward shape. The layout isn't clear on where the furniture should be. If you go in there and wonder, then for sure that potential buyer is also going to wonder. So it's great to get furniture in there and show them the potential of what it could be. So next part, oh yeah, here's some photos of staging consultations. So this was one in East Wenatchee we did recently. This was their dining room. They had a child who was a beautiful artist. This kid was like 10 and did this. Yeah. But I mean, it's like all you see, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
And there was like a fireplace on the other wall. So yeah, so we came in, we had them at, it's the same dining table. We had them at a rug. We had them paint the walls, different art, a little centerpiece, and it's a big difference, right? I think the next slide's the same house in their bedroom. Yeah, it was Kentucky.
Yeah. That's a cute one.
Yep. So before they had, stuff over the windows. Yeah, we used all their stuff and just.
Oh, those are towels.
Yeah.
Oh, my husband would do stuff like that.
Yeah, so.
He's weird.
Cleaned it up, brought some, pillows and some lamps in, and just, how much lighter and brighter and more inviting does that look? That was the primary too, so. So it needed a little magic for sure. And another consultation here, that's just a living space. We just kind of moved some furniture, added some pretties. It's the same mirror they had up there, but it's, got some art and some things around it, some lamps. And then this is that same home here. Again, is there another one for that one?
No, it's different.
Oh, that's a different, okay, this is occupied semi-vacant. So our next type that we talked about, occupied semi-vacant, this was a home out in Manson. And it was a beautiful home, but the seller used purple as their accent color. And it had been on the market for a while and no one was liking it. So we came in and we did an occupied partial stage. We brought in our own stools, we used our own things. Yeah, it's her bed, it's her stuff, but we just, added to it and neutralized it.
Was this the one with like a room with like a purple wall? Or am I thinking, it was one with big purple vibes last year?
I don't know, I don't think it had any walls.
With like the
Well,
clouds,
that's
the purple
Yeah,
clouds.
yeah,
No,
it was-
that's a different one.
Yeah,
Interesting
this-
one.
Luckily, this one, the purple was just in all the accessories and things like that, so we were able to pare it down pretty well. Do we have any more occupied?
No, vacant.
Okay, so empty house, this was one out in Leavenworth that had kind of a funky fireplace in the middle. So we defined the spaces, the dining, the living area, put some cushions on the other side, so it was like a little cozy seat with the fireplace. And then the next photo of the same home, the primary bedroom, so got rid of the dark drapes, dressed it up, put some, nice. Yes, same carpet, yeah, I think it just looks different with the light. Yeah, but yeah, got a nice king bed in there, some nightstands, really can show off the size of the room by filling it with these, nice scale pieces. And that home sold really quickly too.
Yeah, within
like
2
3
days.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then went for over asking also. Yeah.
That was a good one.
Mhm.
So the next piece we talked about is knowing the investment. So what can they look to spend? Staging consultation, that 2-hour walkthrough in detail with your seller is $325. It's up to you how you wish to do that. We find a lot of times that the agent likes to cover that for their seller. Use it as an added bonus, like I do this for you to make sure that we get this home looking its best and that we're gonna get the best price we can. It's very minimal investment and it makes a big impact. The occupied semi-vacant, there's some variables, so the location, the number of rooms, quality level of furnishings. If we have a luxury level home, we're not gonna put the same sofa as we would in an apartment or just a basic single family, so that is taken into consideration, but you have the price ranges up there, small house or condo, 800 to 2,000, standard single family, 1,835, luxury, 3,000 plus. Then vacant, same variables in play. Small house or condo 2 to 3,000, standard 37 to 7, and luxury 45 to 10. We'll touch on this more, but we go through and do a preview of your home first, and we provide you an actual detailed quote based on that. This is more of a blanket, give you an idea. So once we're in the space, we can give you a better, more detailed price estimate of what it'll take to get you there. So the process and the timeline is next. So for the staging consultation, you have up to 2 hours with us. We are quick in our turnaround for scheduling. Usually I can get out to you within a week. So if you're working on a quick timeline wanting to get that home listed, we can do it. We should be contacted as early in the process as possible. We don't want your seller, already packing everything up, because there could be pieces that we want them to leave that we could use for that staging of the home. So try to let them know that we're not judgmental. We'll come in with their house as is before they start packing and doing all that work, because we don't want to do unnecessary work. And payment is due prior to the consultation. We'll send you a bill for that before we actually get on site for that $325 consultation. The occupied, semi-vacant, and vacant. So we do the preview of the home and get you that proposal within 48 hours. After you accept the proposal, we have both the seller and the agent sign the agreement, and the 50% of our staging fees due at that time. And let's see, we give you guys a staging preparation list. So when we preview, we take photos. I'll then email a list that says, okay, in this room, I wanted you to leave the bed and the console table. I want you to pack this and that, so that when we head there that day, it is ready to go. On the staging day, we'd like everything that we send on the staging preparation list to be completed. We can't bring our inventory in if there's, painters and there's light fixtures hanging down and there's construction being had and, nothing has been moved that should be moved. So we really need that to happen first. On the staging day, only our Yellow Gate staff can be there. It's something that our insurance has in their rules. So we ask that you leave and let us do our thing, and then we will usually send you a text as we're wrapping up and invite you to come and take a peek, and I'll send a few photos, little sneak peeks to you. We should have 3 to 8 hours is about generally how long it takes. Some go quickly, some don't. It's just kind of going to depend on that property, what we're dealing with. We ask that you have it staged as close to your photo date as possible. That way our inventory has that full, month there, and you're not wasting days of not having that house listed on the market. Plus then it's still nice and fresh for your photographer. You don't have to worry about, pillows flipping over and things like that. So the fee includes all of the staging services and up to 30 days of the rental. So it includes our design process, us bringing everything in, up to 30 days of having all of our things in the house, and us coming and removing everything. That's all included in that price. If you need to keep things in longer, there's a subsequent rental fee, and it's calculated off of your initial fee. I believe it's like 20%, 10 to 20. So the rental renews on a monthly basis after the initial 30 days. We'll usually shoot you an email like a week before renewal's up and say, hey, do you want us to come and take it out, or do you want to keep it going, and this is what the cost is. The last piece was knowing the why. So why are we encouraging you to use our services and to stage your homes? We have some stats. 93% of buyers just can't see what the house could be. They can only see it as it is. So they see the empty space and they just can't quite put the pieces together, or they see the person that's living there's photos and all of their things, and they just can't imagine their own there. So staging creates that visual image of what that house is capable of looking like, what their lifestyle would look like if they lived in there. We can accentuate all the positive things of the house and kind of, minimize or draw attention away from any undesirable, features that are in the house as well. And there's some studies that have been conducted by the National Association of Realtors and the Real Estate Staging Association. Last year, in 2023, staged houses sold an average of 9 days faster than non-staged houses, and 63% of the staged houses sold for over asking price. Staged houses sold for 19% over asking price on average. They say when you invest in staging, that you do like 1% of the house's value. We rarely see that, usually it's much, much smaller, but I mean, if you're getting 19% over asking on average, that staging fee was well worth it, I would say. And staging is now the expectation. It's in all the large markets, and a lot of your buyers coming in here are coming from large markets. They expect the house to look nice. They don't want to see piles of laundry and, you know, weird artwork and crazy rugs everywhere. They want it to look nice. So it's become an expectation. And 98% of buyers, they look at the listing online before they even will come and see it in person. So they're making their mind up based on the photos. So your photos, you can have the best photographer in town, but photos are only as good as the subject that is in them. So try to make those photos make an impact and make those buyers want to come see that house in person. And last, certified professional stagers, we not only know how to make the house pretty, we also, there's a psychology behind it. We make these little emotional connection points throughout the house so that buyer can really envision what life there would be like. They can see themselves making their coffee, they can see where their kids are gonna play, or they might sit down and have a glass of wine at night. All these little things, they don't happen by chance. We put them there for a reason and a purpose so that person connects with that home and wants to make it theirs. So that is what I had for you. Does anyone have any questions for us based on that?
I listened to you, we have the purple chair.
Yeah, Spurwood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one was listed for $1,600,000 and $1,500,000 for a year. And didn't sell. In a market that was strong. And what you did, what was interesting was it wasn't about what you put in as far as in that case, it was about what you took away. So we walked in, I had a buyer, we sold that month, less than a month closes. But it was when you walked in, all of a sudden that blue water popped. And the purple chair didn't pop.
Yeah.
So it was just an example of sometimes to the psychology of it, like what are you drawing someone to? Why is someone spending $1.5 million there?
Yeah.
And that lake view was a big part of what I think you guys, I don't know if you did it intentionally, but it definitely caught the blue.
Yes, exactly. It's as much about what isn't there. We don't want them to be like oohing and awing over our furnishings, although we love that, you know, that's great too. Sometimes we even sell them with the houses and that's cool. But we really want the house to shine. You know, what are the features that we're trying to accentuate? Like you said, we wanted them to walk in, see how bright and spacious it was, see the beautiful view, not be distracted by all the, over the top accessories.
Lake color pop.
Mhm.
It's pretty wild. Someone hasn't seen that lake in the middle. It just those windows were. Then the other thing was shares. I'm in the middle of, I wanted to sell it on new construction, right in the middle of a negotiation. And it's not quite finished. They're still building it. So another 3 weeks, it'll be all tight. And it's a challenge, right? This is a difficult market. It's a more challenging market in general than it has been for a while. But in this case, one of the things I'm saying as we speak through one of my agents that's helping me today is, look, I'm about to stage this house. So my confidence, so you're selling me on the other side why it hasn't sold. I'm selling you why I think that makes no sense because the house isn't finished yet. And as soon as it's finished, then I'm going to blow your mind because then I'm going to bring in a whole bunch of furniture. This thing will look 100 times better, not 5 times better, not 10 times better, as it relates to drywall and plastic and all the things that are happening as they're painting and finishing all these furnishings. So it's not just for the real estate brokers. If you think about the psychology of the negotiation in a situation like that, I use you as leverage in the negotiation. Hypothetically.
Yeah, exactly. We're like a little feather in your hat, like choose me because I know these guys and I'm going to make this house like better than anyone else around here.
You don't have to take my counter, but the rest of the world's going to see this house differently than your buyers. So you don't have to have confidence in it, but And then I always be, polite and say, only in time will we find out who's right.
Mhm.
Right?
Might have to get a little like friendly wager in there.
Yeah. So it's just, the thing about any asset, like a landscaper or a painter or builder or stager. For us, these are attributes or ammunition on how to sell the other brokers. It's often, there's a misconception that we sell to the public. The vast majority of the negotiation, whether people want to admit it or not, is between the brokers. That's a psychological issue. So, because if you don't sell the broker, it's very difficult to get that broker to be in alignment with what you're trying to get their client to succeed. So I can say whatever I want if it doesn't translate, or if that broker doesn't agree. So ammunition, like legitimate ammunition, like this is really going to happen. And if you believe it's going to look worse when I'm done showing. So, because I can't, if I'm in this example, I can't disagree with him that it hasn't sold. He's right. That idiot is right. It hasn't sold. Why? Oh, it's not finished. Oh, why? There's a show. Oh, well, hey, I agree, it didn't show. Why didn't it show? And then I'm going to do this to solve that problem. So if your buyer wants it, he can have it today at this price. If not, the rest of the world sees it in a different set of services. So that's just another little feather in your cap to share with other agents.
Yeah.
That you should use us in the negotiation.
It's a different
And
angle.
to get this,
Mhm.
if it happens, like when we did.
Yeah. And aside from what we already talked about here with staging, we have Jessica here in her interior design services. If you're in a situation where they're still finishing construction on home and there's like opportunity to customize too. Jessica does consultations and she can also help like pick out fixtures and finishes and like if the buyer's already set on it and they are able to have input on, tile and things you can also refer here.
There's two types of, there's two fundamental things that have to happen to get it closed or to sell something, right? One is you're worried about the value, so you talk about percentages of value. And that's great, but a lot of times what I would sell a seller in a market like this is liquidity. So you can have value, but if you don't have liquidity, then you don't have value. So like the Golden Gate Bridge is expensive. But how many buyers do we have for it? It's still value, but who's going to buy it? Like, how do we move that value to liquid cash? So sometimes it's not necessarily as important to boost the value as it is just to get the home to sell at the price you have listed or the price that you're currently expecting. So this concept in the market that's not as super hot at 7% as was 2.8%, for example. You don't, when you're selling, I'm talking about agents more than anybody, when you're hiring somebody to help you, whatever ammunition we're using, think about it in the listing presentation that I'm not saying that we're going to just go, perform miracles. What I'm going to say is that we're going to get some more attributes to your house to help us move it at the price we have. So if something isn't moved, what sellers don't want to hear is nothing's happening and I'm not doing anything about it. That's a very challenging conversation after 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. So you start bringing in more ammunition, you start thinking about investment, and you have to be, if you're unwilling to pay it or want to pay it, then you have to sell the listing, sell the seller on it. And that goes to not just the value. I think that sometimes is a misconception because it creates a false sense of confidence, and then people let down. From our agent's perspective, we just sell it. We're not trying to get you more money. We're just trying to get you the money.
Staging will increase that interest from other people.
Just quickly.
Exactly. Yeah. And also, we also do help with marketing because we post everything on our socials. So more people are going to have eyes on your property. So
yeah, Jessica does a great job. Usually when we finish a staging job, she'll take some videos and we'll make sure that it makes the loop around our social media sites. We help you guys out, get it out there.
tag you guys, get people moving to you guys.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you for all that.
Yeah.
We learned too.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, win-win.
Yeah. Anyone else have any questions about what we're talking about? You guys need some letters
Yeah.
probably in the back here. Love them.
Yeah, and if you have extras too. you can
Yeah,
put
we
them
can
back.
leave what we have too.
And then it works. Let's see.
Is your goodie stash over there? Looks like it is.
Yeah. Yeah,
Had a
I gotta go
feeling.
through a lot of that stuff. Oh, let's see, is my
right,
Zoom
well,
still on?
Thanks
Okay.
for having us, guys, and letting us crash your meeting. We'll leave a few of our things. So do.
Yeah, you can stop here and just exit out of this and stay on. Yeah.
Okay.
Sweet. I'm gonna get connected to the speaker thing, so you guys will have better audio in a momento. So give me 2 seconds. Nicole, how did you just send balloons? Well, that's really fun. Huh, okay. Hold on one momento. Did you see that? She had like balloons come out. I don't even know how people do that. Okay, anyways. So, oh, you guys don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so on her picture, she had little balloons go out. And- All right, thank you again. It was lovely being here.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll bring bags next time, okay? Oh, no worries. You're fine.
I
But
tried to get that
thanks.
off first. I think somebody used a permanent marker. On it.
Pretty sure Russ made that circle.
I don't know who would have done that. Someone with an RM initial probably.
Okay, don't say anything important yet, because I gotta connect to audio things.
I was thinking about, you could probably go after before I send all my stuff out and make sure you delete that anything that I shouldn't say.
You've been really good. I haven't had to edit you out in a hot minute, but I can edit you. And
Shot collar every time you go.
There we go. There was one time we probably should have.
it's fun. You've been,
What's to say? But I can remember off the top of my head.
I love myself.
So
You've
rough, while
been-
she's setting up, I just want to say August the 17th is when all this stuff is
Mhm.
going into effect. Tomorrow, no, Thursday, I go into Annie's giving a 3-hour thing about all the changes, just kind of like a summary. So next Tuesday, I'd like to just come through and just share that with everybody. Yeah.
Did you hear that, Ashley?
yeah, I have a class tomorrow with Northwest MLS about it as
Yeah.
well. So,
So next Tuesday, Marshall will be down here to share with everybody.
cool. That's perfect. You know what? If you guys will just look at Russ, you don't need to look.
So you're putting up song lyrics.
Keep you guessing.
There is a song lyric though.
Yeah.
So I think I need to find an extra long cord for this audio thing. So that my computer, because it doesn't have a Bluetooth option, which sucks. And when other people use their computers, they don't have the software to connect to the audio thingy, which is why the audio is echoey. And that's a bummer. Anyway, sorry, I'm venting. Zoom people didn't have a great audio experience. Was it like super echoey, like bad, couldn't understand people sort of jazz? No?
It's better now, Ashley, than it was earlier.
Love that. Okay. I'm gonna track you over there so people can see what you have on the board. And they still can't see it really well, so tell us what you wrote down.
Power people.
Not what he wrote down. Yeah. Just say out loud the words that you're throwing.
Oh, hello. See this? Do you see this?
They can't see it very well.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna tell you what it is yet. I'm gonna tell you what it is yet. You have to wait. So, 10 of you going on Zoom.
Great.
Secrets, we have secrets around here. So, last year, my little gizmo.
Oh, am I doing the video now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, one second. So, thanks for coming here. I know it's hard to get away, and, I think it's always important to come to the office if you can, but also it's cool that you're on Zoom. busy time of year. This thing called winter that comes. So, it's important to remember that. And today, I'm gonna get into, imagine this, some mindset stuff for a minute. I don't think I've ever done that before.
No, not a
And
topic.
then we talk about what we actually said we're gonna talk about a little bit, which is real estate financing for owners, seller financing, and maybe some methods that you might already know about and just need maybe a reminder of, or maybe something that you haven't thought about on how it can insulate, that concept of seller financing can insulate your ability to stay in business if we go into a recession. Because that then couples a lot with land. And so those are kind of work, I'm going to talk about both of those, how they work together and how your business, if you look back on your business in the last 12 months, 24 months, 36 months, 60 months, a million months, mine.
Stay in your world.
I can honestly say if it wasn't for land and seller financing, I wouldn't be here at all. I've been gone. I've been doing something else for a living. Because the banks and the credit world, as we saw from 2.8 to 7, has this impact on us that we have no control over. So, selling various sizes of widgets, various colors of widgets, various reasons for widgets, sometimes insulates your business. It also expands your knowledge and your equity in your business, and also insulates your business from going out of business, because your competition by and large does not know anything about land. And I'm talking like the United States competition, the Northwest competition, state of Washington competition, and the Central Washington competition. Those people called licensed agents that are your competition, the vast majority of them. And maybe you don't know a lot about land, but since you're here, you probably do, a little more than most. So the more you can know about that as an expert advisor in that, you got a little creativity, a little salt and pepper, and next thing you know, you got a meal because you're gonna stay in business. So I'm gonna get into that. But first, like always, I want us to slow down and think about our life and our business, our personal life. Think about it in the context of ups and downs in your world, in life. Have you had any setbacks in life?
No, just a few.
See, this thing called life, it happens. Regardless how nice we are, regardless of how little or big or tall or short or happy or sad, or where we come from, or what blood type we are, or where we were raised, where we were born, life happens. It's always. And usually they're curveballs. Fortunately, we don't remember them as much, hopefully, the bad things, as we do the good things. Hopefully, because that's what we are. We are our memories. But don't ever expect to be insulated from that thing called life hitting you. Right? Business is just part of it. But your personal life is also part of it because you're self-employed. All right? So if you're not thinking and not preparing for the things that haven't happened yet, you're exposing yourself to danger. And so as a self-employed person, an entrepreneur, if you're not preparing for the inevitable, like bad things are going to happen. Not that I want you to be pessimistic, because that sucks. Or fear-based, because that sucks. But you have to be realistic. Like when times are good, there's an old saying, live on the low and invest on the high. There's a reason why people say that are self-employed, because when you're self-employed, if things are going up, they can go down. Then there's ways that you can insulate that up and down cycle. Right, so we're going to get into that, but I want to play this video and I want you to think about your life and just know that every single person has faced adversity, mentally, physically, emotionally, in some way. This isn't very long. It's like an hour or something. It's not bad.
Yeah, no, that's
Just kidding.
great.
I actually said that at a funeral I spoke at a month ago. I was the last guy to speak, and the guy before me, Beats wild. And I said, you guys know me in this room is a gymnasium full of people. I go, this is one of my best friends that died in sleep. I said, something like, you were there, right? I said something like, what did I say? Something like, people know me know that I don't like to talk too much, so I'm gonna try to keep this under an hour. And that last guy just spoke for like 30 minutes.
And he lost people.
He was all over.
Yeah, he was all over the place.
He was naked, quite sober. But
Yeah.
That's.
so I made it like 7 minutes. It was a record.
Yeah, it was. I was surprised. I was like, wow.
I was scared for a minute. I don't
Remember
know
when I used to put a timer on the
Yes.
TV?
if
Yeah, just a countdown I kind of felt bad, so I stopped doing it a couple times. Hopefully he didn't find it offensive. I wasn't sure if I was like teetering a line there.
No,
So,
he doesn't have any.
Yeah, years of real estate later. I don't know.
okay, where are my Zoomer people? Where did you guys go?
Hold up.
We're still here, Ashley.
Well,
Barely
that's great.
holding
I
on.
can't see you, so that's okay. I'm glad you're here. Can you see the video? Whoever
Yeah.
the student is? Okay.
Best way to make money on Amazon is not.
Is the door to Iron Man totally closed? Because I don't believe it is.
Every day, the reset button, the space bar gets pressed, and it's like, now what?
30 years he has struggled with a dangerous drug addiction that nearly destroyed him. And today he says he's clean, he's in love. And so by the time you're in prison, that's not rock bottom for you?
Nope. It's easy to embrace hopelessness when things seem insurmountable. And yet it's actually just a matter of time until all of the elements come together for things to be all right. I mean, I believe that, most difficult situations will resolve themselves if you are persistent and if you don't give up entirely. And that's what I never did. I never gave up.
Do you still get urges to do drugs?
I have not even an inkling of a desire. It's not that difficult to overcome these seemingly ghastly problems. What's hard is to decide.
That thing that you're wearing around your neck.
Yes.
Being as you are obviously known as being Iron Man, are you concerned with wearing a large thing in the exact same spot?
Life is funny because I was doing this before I ever got fitted for the RT, so it was more of art imitating oddball stuff I was doing anyway.
Even more interesting because maybe you were born to be Iron Man because Iron Man obviously had that.
Loosely prearranged destiny. And what's incredible is how far afield you can go from it and still find your way back.
This concept of things just sort of falling into place. I'm a big believer in that too. What is that though? Is that you getting out of your own way?
Isn't that 70% of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say it's 70% maintenance of what can I do to do my part to stay out of the way. And then the other part, I always think of it as like this little super thin, invisible thread. But you can feel the tug and you just you have to be really gentle. You have to pause when agitated and you have to go for it when you're going to like, there's 4 walls in here, which one has the map behind it? It's that one. And you knock down the wall and it's there,
Yeah, what is that though? That's a...
Synchronicity?
Yeah.
Intuition? I don't know.
Right.
It's the big I don't know. And I really feel, it's so funny, at this point in my life and being, kind of middle-aged and all that, well, I know I'm going to fly around the world and I'm going to sell some soap. And I know I have a new project and I know I've just retired my jersey on this 12-year journey I've been on. And how do I want to start? And it came up, how would you like it? I go, yes, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go have the Joe Rogan experience and kick off this year and this season and this new chapter by doing what I love. I think part of the reason I'm still so interested, not just in life, but also, getting to do what I do, is I'm a fan. I love movies. I love creativity. I love music. I love culture. And the fact that I actually have a place in it while I'm observing it and digging it is like, it's an honor.
Even though he has a whole lot of money, even though he's Iron Man, dude, here's the deal. He's still nice. My daughter is 4 years old and she says, Daddy, don't you know Iron Man? Can't you hook it up? It's my birthday. Can he come to my birthday? Can you make it happen, Daddy? And this is at his height. This is when everything is going. And I text him and I said, listen, man, my daughter, you know, she loves Iron Man. If you got time, you know what I'm saying, you know, if you'd stop by. And this is the day before her birthday. It's Saturday. Sunday is the birthday. He texts back, he says, is 12 o'clock noon good?
Is the door to Iron Man totally closed? Because I don't believe it is.
Oh.
You guys can go through time now.
Well, let me ask you the question. If I pick the jersey back up and put it on, wouldn't you feel a little bit like, oh,
no
crap?
No.
Oh.
I love you as Iron Man. So I would, if they opened up this time machine and you popped out, I just imagine the moment where everybody goes fucking crazy. It would be amazing.
It'd be great.
I would love that. But I would also love you hanging it up.
It's just, I keep thinking, see clearly. And it's difficult because I feel like we all just get buffeted by feelings and ego or fears or little, you know, chips of resentments or intuitions that are tied to something maybe higher but you think is out of your reach or whatever. So I need to be kept right-sized because I can easily fall into self-seeking and depression and self-pity and judgment and all that stuff. It's kind of it's a bit of a default, but I spend enough energy and I've had enough help over enough years to actually just say, oh, that's just awful, destructive behavior. You're entertaining in your head, you know? If I'm noticing anything now, it's that we need to shift and we need new challenges. And just like society and politics, things are moving and morphing, and the information age is making things so, everything's learning and growing from everything so quickly and improving or disproving. But for me, it's just incredible. Our culture never encourages taking a break, never encourages saying, don't chase that thing because you've got it in your hands. So confidence, you know, there's been times when I've felt I'm in possession of it, and then you want to let go a little bit because it's only ever the moment and life guiding you. The wind is so at your back that you're like, wow, are you just, you know, jumping over the waves and all that by yourself? And you're like, you bet I am. But there's a physics to the moment, and the wind's at your back. And then the wind does what the fucking wind does, and it changes. And if you're left there thinking, what, you know, so I think it's great to be in full possession of what you would call supreme confidence, and then see what happens if you don't hold on to it so hard, because it's great, but it is a bit of an illusion, because like everything else, it's always changing. Always know what your action is, because then when you come in the morning confident, or when you come in the morning and you can't hit your ass with both hands, you know what to do. Just boil down what it is you're doing, whether there's a camera around or just what am I doing today. Today I'm showing up and I'm trying to be honest and also to listen and learn. But really my action today is I'm beginning a process of promotion.
You actually take comfort in the fact that your eyesight is starting to dwindle?
You want to chase it, but what I appreciate is you know where you're at by what you're able to retain if you fight for it, and the things that are going no matter what you do. Sometimes it's about, I don't need to try to use something to hold on to everything. I want to pick the 5 or 7 things that I definitely want to hold on to, and I want to watch the rest of it go in and out with the tides. Smile. Though your heart is aching, smile. Even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by.
What do you guys think of that? Why is it awesome? It's powerful business.
Sorry. You're not. Oh. Hey. Go ahead.
Wait, let's finish that. I want to know.
Where that was going. Kate.
So Aaron said it was powerful. Let's ask him why is it powerful. I just think that you know, all of us, every human being is gonna put things, you know, but
in the end, there are decisions that are not being
If you pick one thing that you took away from that video, that might, if you engage that one thought or exercise, leave in, that could change your life starting today. Is there one thing that you could pull out of that?
One thing is how. When you say smile, you say, I think the fight in your head, you know, that would be the main thing.
Yeah, those little demons. There's a lot of voices in my head. Desiree says that she didn't realize, even though she grew up with me at 5 years old, after working with me in the Chelan office for 6 months or so, she didn't realize how many personalities I had. So the good thing is she likes them all. She hasn't seen the bad ones yet. But to your point, they're in there. We have negative thoughts.
We'll do, and it's just amazing how, you know, a lot of people decide to be victims or egotistical assholes of their lives. There are, you know, many ways you can go about it.
Yeah, and it's funny, isn't it? That's great. Kyle, what did you take out of that?
Just a reminder to believe in yourself and get out of your own way.
Yeah, man, 70% of that right there. Get out of your own way, believe in yourself. Yesenia, can you hear me now? All right, people, I love that.
I can hear you.
Okay, what did you take away from that? And by the way, Yesenia ran a marathon last weekend.
Congrats.
My knees still hurt.
And your toenails are MIA.
Yeah, it's got 2 missing toenails. I'd be in the ER, so.
So what's one thing that you took away from that little video?
I feel like it was really intense. It was kind of somber. That's the mood I took away from it, because it seemed like Iron Man, we put him on a pedestal, but he's still fighting his own demons. And kind of like, you know, telling us, kind of at the end especially, telling us to fake it, you know, even if you're having a rough time, fake it. So it's kind of somber.
Yeah, a lot of you guys might not have known, he was a full-blown drug addict for a long time, like in prison, multiple times, multiple relapses. I mean, you know, so you talk about, like he said, I think in that, he said something like, going to jail, losing everything, losing your reputation, losing your job, losing your family. That wasn't enough? Nope. That wasn't low enough? Nope. He had to decide, right? So that's the good news. The good news is you have a real life example of a guy that did everything perfectly right and perfectly wrong, and that his demons were winning. Those demons, those negative thoughts were winning. And then he changed it. That's the good news. Doesn't really matter where you're at today. Every single person can decide today. Now, in the context of our careers, right? As self-employed people, there's this magic that happens when you realize that you're self-employed, and that's a gift. That's a gift that you should embrace. Because I don't know if there's some of us like Yesenia, Brooke Day, Blanca, probably others that have a day job. They're working a full-time day job. You know, Yesenia is a nurse. Blanca works at a law office as a paralegal. Brooke works at Federal Express. These are just to name a few examples. I don't hear them making excuses. I hear them doubling down on the efforts. That's what I say. Because they know what they don't want to do. Although they know they need to do this and have done this and have accomplished a lot. They want the freedom of self-employment. This is a gift. So if every day you don't wake up, I think what I took away is like, what is the plan in the morning? Because the morning, as we know, it's a cliche, but it sets the tone for the whole day. If you don't have a plan and you're tired, you know, because you've been working hard, because your family's giving you a hard time, because, you know, credit card bills are mounting, because I haven't had a closing, because I haven't got that listing, I lost that sale, the leads suck, the interest rates suck, inflation sucks. All that stuff can be rationalized. So guess what happens to your day? I think I'll just sleep in.
because I'm self-employed. Nobody's gonna fire me today. I don't have an instant reaction to a decision today that I would if I had a job. Justin was in the military. You decide to just go AWOL on your own, what happens?
Shitstorm comes after.
Yeah, they arrest you, they dishonorably discharge you, they crush you like a little bug because you're owned by the government. I think there's other veterans in our group too, including Blanca did 4 years as an MP. No messing.
Yeah, she was the one throwing people on.
She's throwing Justin in jail. Justin's intimidating. I would be too. So here's the thing, right? Like, smile although your heart is breaking, smile although your heart is aching. When there's clouds in the sky, you will get by. That's what's on, that was the secret that was on the board. All that means is try to use gratitude to assassinate anxiety. It's the one foolproof method mentally, because if we think about it, we're not getting third-degree burns by being negative. We're not breaking limbs by being pessimistic or a victim. It's all emotional, mental, psychological. Okay, well then you can't get a Band-Aid. You can't go to the ER and get, you maybe get some drugs temporarily. Makes it worse because that's instant gratification. And if one thing helps anxiety, which is gratitude, guess what's the one thing that crushes delayed gratification? Instant gratification. Instant gratification assassinates delayed gratification. Where is achievement, fulfillment, success, contentment? Where does that live? Instant gratification or delayed gratification? Delay. Instant gratification is fun because it's a dopamine hit. That's why booze works. It's fun. But if not used in moderation, it turns ugly. It wins. So it's not because of what it does to you that day, it's what it does, what you don't get. That's what people are missing. It's not the feelings, it's not the hangover. It's that it assassinated one day of your life for delayed gratification because you're not consistent. So if you wake up every day and you have a plan, mine is simple. 5 words that I use every day. 6 of you don't put them together. This is when my eyes open, whether it's 1 hour of sleep, 10 hours of sleep, whether I like it or not, whether I believe it or not, I do not allow my brain, especially my tired brain, to run the show. So I tell myself intentional thinking, which is overriding my organ called my brain that has been running on autopilot, especially while I was asleep. But for many of us, including me, large parts of our life are ran on autopilot without intention, without purposeful thinking, without accolades, without affirmations, without any structure. Your brain thinks that's normal. So it becomes uncomfortable when you have to do something that your brain does not like. It's been running on autopilot and it says, what? I'm in charge of you, not the other way around. So mine is, it's not a effing negotiation today. That's between me, my consciousness, and my brain. That's all I do. It's not an effing negotiation. Once I slam the door on all those thoughts that come into my mind that tell me to sleep in, take it easy, don't work hard. Hey, Russ, you need a work-life balance. Hey, Russ, you deserve something. A lot of people deserve something. Does that mean we've earned it? No. I told a buddy of mine who's upset about the money he made last year. He makes a lot of money in real estate. I said, guess what? The good news is, man, you've earned the right to relax for a minute. You saved your money. He was the guy in the real estate game. If you used an example, he'd be like in a casino when he got up at the craps table. Guess what he did? He left the building. He took the money with him. He earned it. Guess what I did? Let's go. Cocktails, double down. I've worked harder. He admitted it. I've worked harder than he has. For longer. So I deserve to retire. But have I earned it? Now, I don't even know what that means, first of all, retire. The hell does that mean? I think when you can decide to gamify your life, it's not life or death. I don't know, whatever sport you like, whatever you've ever been competitive in, whatever you like to do. I don't care if it's crocheting or hopscotch or basketball or whatever game you've ever played. My wife is Scrabble. She loves Scrabble because she kicks my ass every time. It's quite fulfilling for her. And I take one for the team, even not that I have a choice, but last time we played, I said, you have to be my co-pilot, and then you have to use my letters, and you can still beat me, but I need you to help me with words. Makes her feel good. She wins no matter what. Just giving her what she needs, what she deserves, because she's smarter than me at that. And she loves that. Okay? But I'm still competitive, so I have to like be careful. Because I'll go deep. Right? So if I'm playing basketball in a basketball game, am I going to take it easy during a basketball game? No, I'm going to go all out. I'm going to dive for the ball. I was playing shortstop and baseball. I would, do crazy stuff. I'm going to play softball. I have blood everywhere after every tournament. I'd have like 10 games, played 100 games a year for years. Men's slow pitch. I treated it like it was life and death when I played softball in my 20s and early 30s.
Did everything.
So does that mean it's life and death because I acted like it on the field? No, but that's just part of like who you are. When you're self-employed, you better play the game like you give a shit. Or life, when it hits you, you don't have this padding called paid for time. This is just a wake-up call. And it always happens about right now. Every year, this is normal. There's fatigue. Especially this year, because there's a lot of crazy stuff we could point to. Politics, interest rates, fire and Chelan, smoke, tourism, inflation. All these factors give us reasons to feel like it's unfair. Guess what Fletcher Ellingson says? You guys have trained with him, you probably know. When you play the fair or unfair card in life, you also have to admit you're a victim. Many people like admitting that they're a victim. So if you're going to say that to your family and friends or to yourself, more importantly, just remember, this isn't fair and you have to yell it. I'm a victim. Because there's only two parts to being fair or unfair, a perpetrator and a victim. And you're not usually the perpetrator. So it's kind of BS. Doesn't do you any good to think that. And then the last thing is just every day come up with a plan. Because if you feel good, you play good. And if you're not sleeping and you're not drinking water, as fundamental as that sounds, you have to treat your business like an athletic sport. If you're going to go play 3 hours in an open gym right now, if you're going to go run a marathon like Missy Cinia did, you might want to make sure you're hydrated. You might want to make sure you're training so you can get up and run. If you treat your business like a sport, you can gamify your business. So when a deal falls apart, now if I'm playing basketball and I lose a basketball game, do I lose my mind? Do I lose my family? No. I just get back in and play basketball again. I just start another game. That's another day. That's the reset. And here's the thing, you can't play 1,000 games. You have to decide which games you're going to play in life. And you better focus on it. Because we're entering a phase of real estate that many of you may not have ever seen before. There's going to be casualties, lots of them. There already is. That's good. That's basically great for the people that know how to play the game. People that come to play every day. Once you do that, and all the competition starts moving away or aging up and moving out, I deserve this, I should have been that, I might have been this, the interest rate's that, if I would have done this. excuse making, excuse making, excuse making. The mirror is your competition in the morning. You decide what you're gonna do, you go do it, you win the day. You might lose a day, that's okay. Put a big X on the days you lose, on a calendar. Remind yourself the days you lose. See too many red X's, change something. Okay? That's the mindset portion of class. Any comments? Stella, you always have comments for me.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. I mean, it's a good reminder always, so.
Gamify your business. Treat it like a sport. Just win the day. You don't have to win all the games, except win the most of them.
You know, and through
Don't like
repetition, there are things that are, to me, start getting stuck. One of the things that I start sharing with my colleagues, that sounds in my head all the time, is to be intentional.
Be intentional. Yeah.
You know, that comes from here.
Yeah, if you're not intentional, what's the option? You're not intentional. Your brain's gonna go, comfort zone.
Yeah.
Comfort zone, that's what happens when you're not intentional. You start taking less chances that are calculated. You start saying, I don't need to make that call. I don't need to call that guy back. I don't like talking to that person. I don't like bad news delivered quick. I'm in fact just gonna ignore it, see if it goes away. I'm not gonna lead generate today. Why would I lead generate since I'm a real estate broker? Why the hell would I do that? That seems weird. I'm an order taker, like at a Lakeview drive-in person. That's what I am. I want 2 burgers and a fries. They're gonna come to me and tell me this is what I'd like to buy this house, Estella. I'm just gonna knock on your door and say, Estella, would you please write up this purchase and sale agreement? Thank you, and I'm gonna give you $15,000. Thank you. But as silly as that sounds, thinking about the people that you know in this business, including yourself, because we've all been guilty of it, acting like we're order takers. You send the condominiums, right? I'll give you some inside info. The sellers tell me $30 million condominium project. In October, if we don't sell condos by October, we're not gonna sell any. I said, really? Well, that's good, I guess, because you have not a lot of expectations of me. So I guess in a way that's good. But just so you know, that I've been here a while, if I believed that, and that was true, I wouldn't have been in business past the first year, and this is my 34th. So then he said, don't tell him. You might be experienced in the Lake Chelan Valley and in real estate, but I've been in real estate a long time also. And I've been out at Wapato Point for 5 years. Nothing happens out at Wapato Point after October, Russ. Well, this is a fascinating conversation, right?
Challenge accepted.
I said, why do you think that is? No offense to people at Wapato Point. They have developed a pattern of order taking at a resort. And when the numbers go down in the resort, they take a break. Fine. I don't take a break. I turn the dial, the combination lock. I just keep turning it. I just keep figuring out something else. If the people aren't coming to the resort and sitting on the beach, then I'm probably not going to go to the beach looking for them. Maybe a couple days, I'm like, where'd they go? Okay, where do they live now? Okay, we're gonna go over here. That's what we do. We stir the soup. What happens when you don't stir the soup? You let it sit.
Never seen the soup do that.
It talks. Listen.
He might put a lot of it.
So that makes sense? That makes sense? But you have to remind yourself, you have to have a script for yourself, because if you don't, it's so easy to get off of the gamified, to be less competitive. And guess what your family wants you to do? Spend more time with them. Okay, well, spend more time with them, but don't do it by quitting. Do it by working harder in the hours you're working. I guarantee it. If I could grab any real estate agent, except a handful, I could show them how to work 25% less hours, make 25% more money if they do what I told them every day. It's not the hours, it's the intensity. It's the purposeful thinking, like Aaron said, that's the stuff that matters. Because if not, you're going through the motions. And if you're going through the motions in a decent market like the last decade, you can survive, you can do all right. That's why there's a lot of people that have done all right. But guess how many people got a listing because their friend, their father, their dad, their cousin gave them a listing and 3% interest rate sold it for 10 years? How many people are that? How many? I had that happen to me. Do you guys have that happen to you? Was that me selling that listing or was that the market? I got the listing, so it was my relationship. But did I actually do anything besides have the relationship? So what happens is for 10 years, you think you're all that in a bag of chips. And then one day the rates go to 7. One day inflation goes, oh. One day politics is weird, election. One day there's forest fire. One day this, one day that. There's always one day. There's no perfect situation that lasts because life happens. So you must focus like you're the business because you are. You cannot let the business run you. You have to run the business. It's like that cliche, the defining moment, where you define the moment, which is daily, or the moment will define you, which is the natural tendency to be in the comfort zone. Because that's DNA driven. When in doubt, duck and cover. How many people kick in the doors? That's leadership. Now it's scary to do that because if you put yourself in that position, now you'll have expectations that you have to do it again. Euphemia ran a marathon. Now in her mind, she has this problem. She's now addicted to this feeling of achievement, right?
Yeah, it's unfortunately I had a lot of fun running the marathon.
Now, was there a point, Yesenia, in the marathon towards the end when your toenails were falling off and you didn't know it, that you were super tired? Did your brain start telling you to stay in the comfort zone and stop?
Oh yeah, like the whole way. It's like, what are you doing up at 4 a.m? Go back to bed. What do you like? I know you crossed the bridge. You just wanted to get to this point. You can walk from here. Like all throughout the race, it never ended. But I don't know. I made it was my own thing. I made a promise to myself that I was going to finish. So it was a non-negotiable for me.
Yeah, it's not an effing negotiation. That's the words I use every morning. It's not an effing negotiation today. Hey, and it's okay to say it is sometimes. It's okay to say today's a negotiation. You win. Today I'm done. I'm gonna put an X on the business day today. It's okay. Just do it intention. Don't let life do it to you. You do it to life. You run your life with purpose. Then you win. I'm telling you, it's gonna get wildly weird, which is good. The less competitors you have, the more you separate yourself from the field, the easier that gets. You just have to hit it harder, not soft. You don't have to, it doesn't mean more hours. That's a big misconception. It's just more intensity with purposeful thinking on a daily basis. What are the 5 to 7 things that you're going to do to make your business a success and then lose all the rest? Ask yourself this question and we'll move on. What can I do differently in my business? Just one thing that if I do it will change the trajectory of my life. And then ask yourself this. What's the one thing that if I stop doing, it'll change the trajectory of my life? Because we all have one thing that we're not doing. We have one thing that we're doing. Figure out those 5 to 7 things that you need to do and do those things in your business and win your business back. Take your business back. Nobody's doing that right now, man. I don't see it. I see waves hitting people and I see they're just ducking covering. And I'm telling you, if you do what Yesenia did as an example in life, just know that everybody's tired. Everybody's fatigued. Everybody has these little thoughts. Everybody has demons. Everybody's telling them not to do that and rationalizing. Don't let life rationalize your existence. That's what everybody else does. That's the beautiful thing about America. People can get away with that and not get killed, not die of starvation. So if you do it, you're separating yourself from the pack. All right, enough of that hammer time. Was it worth it or not? Because I need to know, so if I do it more, you will like it. If I do it less, you will not. You'll like it more. I need to know, was that helpful? It's
What
once a
you're
month.
saying is we need to sign up for a marathon, all of us.
There you go.
Spartan race.
We can start with wiffle ball.
Marcia and I are gonna be cheerleaders, just so you know.
I love it, Yesenia.
Dude, I've already done one, they're so fun.
Challenge.
I'm planning on doing another one in a couple weeks.
Let's do a 5K.
Your business
5K.
is the marathon, right? Your business is the running the marathon. It's your business straight in front of you. You own it. It's your business. You don't need permission to run your business. You're already running it. Just run it with intention from now on. Every day, remind yourself, it's not enough to negotiation. It's that little deep voice in your mind you gotta assassinate. Person sucks. He needs to be like, he's gotta be put in his place. I do it every morning. You are in your place, then I write it on my mirror. Until my mirror is full, and then I erase it and I start writing more shit on the mirror. Every day. Own the day. Whatever. Don't be a weakling. I've read all kinds of stuff to myself because that mirror is my competition the way I look at it. The only one that can hurt me, well, he said it. 70% is just getting out of your own way. Just stop. Just get out of your own way and win the day. Man, you do that for a few days in a row. Next thing you know, run a marathon. Next thing you know, making $100,000 a year. Next thing you know, you're a million. Happens way faster than you think it will. But you have to know the days you're not doing it. Because if you see enough of them, just like working out, you see enough X's, I didn't work out physically or mentally, or didn't get enough rest. Sabotage. Now you have to ask yourself, why are those red X's there? What am I doing that I need to stop doing? Because there's too many in a row. Once in a while is great. I mean, go off once in a while, go do whatever. Live life on your terms, not on your brains, not on someone else's, right? Okay, let's get into seller financing. I'm curious how many of you guys have done a deal, let's show of hands class, with seller finance? Nope. How many of you guys have done a deal? Who's there? Sarah? Blanca?
Sarah,
Sarah?
and Blanca, and Yesenia.
Yesenia.
I think Nicole's doing tours.
Sarah has, okay. So why do you think it is in real estate that and it's a fact, the vast majority of people don't know anything about land?
I think it's
Not
scary.
easy.
It's not easy, scary.
That form sucks. It's certainly not my favorite. Yeah. I know, it takes a lot to digest that form.
Okay, so if there's gonna be a full-blown recession, let me let you know a little insider information. It's probably gonna come first at the banks.
Oh, is this yesterday's stuff?
And it's been brewing for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Commercial lending is a problem in the cities. There's entire skyscrapers that are empty. Warren Buffett said, buildings aren't gonna change, just the owners. So let's say they're partially right. So there's doomsday guys, there's people that say it'll be fine. A lot of it's gonna hinge on what happens in November, probably, you know. But let's just assume banks don't want to loan money. Like credit gets tight. Credit cards get, you know, they can take your credit line anytime they want, right? On a credit card. Same with line of credit. The bank in the fine print can just go, you had 10,000 available on your credit card or 5,000, now you have 500.
Perfect example, they took one away from me because I hadn't used it.
Yeah, they can, the banking industry can do whatever they want, whenever they want in the fine print to you. So if many builders, for example, go out of business and they're struggling, they're starting to struggle right now. And they're like, I'm fine, I got $1 million line of credit. I could just get through a year or two with that. And then one day the bank goes, I think we turned that to 10 grand. What? Okay, when that happens, yeah, go ahead.
So when that happens, if they say have 500,000 out already used and it now goes to 10 grand, do they have to come up with that 490,000?
Not usually.
Okay.
They just know they're maxing the credit limit and the credit score is gonna go.
Okay, understood.
Yeah, so it's a shock to a lot of people that banks can do that, but they did it in 2008, 9, and 10 to everyone. So let's say that happens again. All of a sudden you have a group of people in real estate that the vast majority of them focus on just houses. Okay, well, there's more, is it fair to say there's more owner contracts on land than houses? For one, the Department of Finance isn't involved, because you can do it with a house, and that's just less common, a lot less common. And usually you have to get a waiver from the Department of Finance to be able to be the bank. So that's in the form, right? In that form where it talks about, is this gonna be used for residential or something like that? That's a no if it's land, because there's not a house on it. It's confusing in the form because it says, like, it will be, you think, well, it will be used for residential, but it's tricky. So you don't check yes. If you check yes, then you have to get the Department of Finance, and it's exempt from that. Land's exempt from that. So say no. Okay, so the land deal now can become your bread and butter, because not a lot of people know how to do it. And it gets, land use regulations, like what I can do with my land, is complicated. But we have some of the best people in the business in this brokerage with land. And I'm happy to help anybody on any deal. What makes it complicated is it's not cookie cutter. Did you know that the zoning law, for example, it says like there's a minimum lot size in zoning, right? Did you know that that's not really what it means? As an example, there's so many, like refer to this section, refer to that section, refer to this section. And every day right now, I was on the phone this morning at 6 a.m. with the godfather of land planning, Dan Beardsley. Right now, they're weaponizing the Department of Natural Resources map that has hypothetical creeks and rivers on it. They don't exist. So when you go to do a boundary line adjustment, or you go to do a segregation in Douglas County right now, it's starting to surface. Just as an example. There's all kinds of these examples. So that's a barrier to entry, right? There's a lot of people that don't want that. So land use and owner contracts are kind of the same thing, right? I'm trying to figure out, maybe I should back up and give you some basics. When you're going to get a listing, for example, one of the things that's important to do is make sure that you can counsel the seller on why it's maybe a good idea to do it. Take an annuity. One reason might be because they're not going to sell it if they don't. So there's value, like I was talking to the staging company, and then there's liquidity. If a person has to go to a bank and it gets harder to get a loan at a bank for a good set of terms, like the rate's too high or the down payment's too high. Well, if you can expose your seller to more people that maybe have 15% down payment, not 25% down payment, then, and you could lower the rate because it's you and the buyer, the seller and buyer deciding what rate to have, then you can create your own set of terms because the seller becomes the bank. So maybe it's 6% instead of 9%. Most of your lot loans, by the way, will be 25% down, usually 20-year, sometimes 30-year amortization schedules. But they'll usually have a balloon payment, an entire lump sum balloon payment due in 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 years. They say, hey, some of them are 1 year, like we want to roll that into a construction loan for you. What that means is if I'm going to give Justin a loan to buy a lot, and I'm a bank, but I have a 1 year balloon payment on that loan, what I tell Justin is, they often call it a one-step. I'm going to give you the loan on the land to buy the land. And then I'm going to refinance that loan with a construction loan that'll help you build your house. So I get one mortgage, or really not even really a mortgage, it's a line of credit. give that to you to buy the piece, and then I'm gonna refinance it, right? And I'm not gonna charge you twice, so they try to sell you that. Well, what if I don't wanna build in a year? What if I can't build in a year? What if something happens? So seller financing, all of a sudden, there's no rules of engagement really. You can make up your own set of rules. So I start to qualify the seller. Are you in a position to do that? Do you have debt, for example? Do we need to pay off some debt? Because you probably have debt on a piece of land. Maybe you have a due on sale provision, which means if you sell it, you got to pay off who you owe, right? But sometimes they don't. A lot of times, there's a lot of real estate out there that's paid for. You know, grandma and grandpa lived on that farm for a long time. Kids don't want it. Grandma and grandpa died. Kids inherit it. They sell it. Everybody thinks I want the cash. Well, I joke around in listing appointments and I go, guess what? Grandpappy used to tell me, you can have price or terms. You can't have both. It's nice to say that I want 400 grand for my lot. All right. What if it doesn't sell? Let's fast forward a year. What if I said, I'm going to give you 80,000 down. I'm going to make payments to you every month for 5 years at 6%, and then I'm going to pay it off in 5 years. If I don't, you can take it.
That's great.
Now they've had 5 years on a 30-year amortization. 5 years is like 95% interest. So they just got 5 years of interest payments that they didn't have to pay capital gains tax on necessarily, not the interest payments you do, but the income for the year, but not the income on the whole piece. So there's some tax advantages in a nutshell why you'd want to do owner contracts. Or just give it to the government. Right? You give a lot to the government and get cash on land. There's also various, and you know, what makes it also challenging is, like I said, there's every deal is uniquely, like has so many variables. So when you, for example, I'm working on a deal right now where we might end up buying some land. 4 legal lots of record, we'll buy it, right? 33 acres had it. We thought we had irrigation water. Unfortunately, the seller doesn't have irrigation water because they haven't farmed it for 20 years. It was a private irrigation system. So there's a rule that says if you don't use private irrigation for over 5 years or over 5 years, you automatically lose your irrigation rights. So be very, very careful when you're listing land with private. What I mean by private is like not, you have a pump in a river that you have water rights for, or a well that you have irrigation rights for. Unlike a reclamation district, that's not private. Those are protected. Those are municipal. But I asked Bill Sullivan at American Land and Water here in Wenatchee, I go, how many families in north central Washington in the state think they have irrigation water, but by the time the kids come back home, the grandma and grandpa have been done farming for 10 years or 20 years. They don't know the Department of Ecology took their rights, but they did. And typically, if you don't raise your hand, this came from Mark Marquis, who's probably the lead water rights attorney in this part of the state. A lot of times, if you don't, like, they're not going to come knocking. So if you just start it up again, you're probably going to be all right until you go to transfer it. If you ever try to transfer irrigation rights to somebody else, and when you're a listing agent and you warrant as a listing agent, although you're being told by the seller, there's some gray liability there that you should have known to check on the irrigation rights. Now, here's where it makes it really wild. What if I tell you as a seller, you don't have irrigation rights? So we're making an offer on a piece. We find out it doesn't have irrigation rights. I had a conversation yesterday with investors. I was like, are we going to be in trouble if I disclose something to the seller that the seller doesn't want to know? What happens if you give a home inspection to the seller without his permission?
Home inspection contingency waived,
Yes,
and yeah, no, bueno.
You void your home inspection.
Liability.
Your earnest money.
Yeah. So it's like, is that I was like, is that true for feasibility studies? Is that true for, like, is it my position to tell this older couple that the 33 acres on the Okanagan River with irrigation rights and their house actually is just dry land? Is that my place to tell them that? This is why people don't want to get into land. There's a lot of this stuff. But here's the good news. We can learn about this stuff. And it's always moving. It was in the video. Life's always changing, right? The one thing I know, and I've said this a million times.
You would tell them though, right? Because if you go to sell it and you say that anyways, then you're like liable and it's all bad.
I was saying as a buyer, would I tell them?
Oh, as representing the buyers, would you tell the
Seller.
Gotcha.
You're
That's the answer.
I'm thinking I won't. I'm thinking I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. I represent us. So I'm like, we just back out. We have a feasibility contingency. We just can back out. I don't think it's a law. Marcia, have you ever heard of it? Like the inspection addendum and the feasibility addendum working similarly? I haven't heard that yet.
No, I know that there's that 5 years that they look.
I'm talking about like on an inspection addendum, if I give you the whole inspection report, I just voided my
Yes.
contingency.
That's
Is
correct.
that true with the feasibility stuff?
Oh, I would have to look at that.
It doesn't say it on there.
I don't think so.
I don't think it is either. I think it's a trend. But I would be careful about it.
Is
I
it
might,
an ethical dilemma?
no, it's not ethical. It's not an ethical dilemma because they might want to know why we're not gonna buy it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if the agent asks, be like, do you really want to know?
Yeah, you really know?
Like, it's not the best thing.
Yeah, like I might call the
So-
agent on the phone and go, here's.
Yeah,
what's
we're
happening.
not putting things.
Do you want me, here's what's happening. Do you want to know?
Mhm.
Because that's really the spirit of that whole inspection problem, right? You gave the seller bad news and the seller like, now that I know it, I can't unknow it.
Mhm.
So now I have to disclose it. So now when it says irrigation water
Mhm.
at 250 grand or whatever, now it's 100 grand. 150, like you just crush these people's dreams.
And I guess what was the issue that the listing agent did wrong? Like, what was the investigate? Should have just recommended like the water marquee dude to look into if stuff was actually transferable?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Mhm.
And it's everywhere.
Yeah.
These properties that, see, here's the thing, the Department of Ecology doesn't run ads on Facebook and tell you what they're doing.
Mhm.
And it's not like they give you a warning, like, hey, you're 4 years, like, taxes, you don't pay your taxes, or, hey, dude, you're almost 3 years behind. When you're 3 years behind, we can sell your place. Do you guys know that? If you're 3 years, property taxes behind, and if you cross the date, you have to pay all of it, not just 1 year. Up until a certain date, like July of the 4th year, you can pay 1 year and buy yourself another year, and the tax assessor cannot foreclose on your house or your property. After July, you have to catch up all the penalties, all the interest, and all the years. Basically. Yeah, so it's kind of a weird, like, yeah, like if I'm the listing agent, I look at it. And then I have to have a conversation with my seller, like, I know this, that if I said that it had irrigation water and somebody bought it and then they planted 50,000 an acre into crops.
Mhm.
And then the neighbor called the Department of Ecology. And by the way, Mark McKee verified this. Some of you might know this. They have satellite imagery to prove it. Now the tech's good enough where they can see what's green and what's brown. And they have these giant data centers that control all the data. So let's say it re-engage irrigation water in this example, let's say we turn it back on, nobody's probably gonna say anything. Doesn't change hands, unless somebody complains, but if it was gone for 20 and then I run it for 10, did I get it back? The answer is no. Once it's gone, it's gone. And here's how they look at it. A guy told me this once. If a deer walks on your property during hunting season, and you have the right permit and the right gun, and you shoot the deer. As long as there's no zoning law, yes. If the deer walks off your property and on your neighbor's property and you don't have permission to shoot the deer, can you shoot the deer? No, guess what water does? So they look at it in our state of Washington, that's their water. You just have a license to use it for a minute. And if you break the license, like you don't have the permit to shoot the deer, if you don't have all the right paperwork, you lose the opportunity. It's not a grandfathered right, inalienable property rights. That's a taking in my opinion, but I'm not the governor. And this is happening all the time, guys, all the time.
If it's happening in Okanagan County. It's
whole thing.
Yeah.
Department of Ecology, they're everywhere. It's the whole state.
So you're saying people can't reapply for those rights?
You can try, but it's a very difficult thing to
So
get.
what happens? I mean, that.
You just have no more irrigation. You have no more irrigation. You have like in this case, you have a domestic well, and they get up to a half acre and 5,000 up there, it's 3,000 gallons a day. Chelan and Douglas County is 5,000 gallons a day, up to half an acre, exempt well, no irrigation water.
And I apologize if I seem stupid with this because I have no clue, but what's the point in that if they're just letting all this land just go to crap because nobody can water it?
They want the water. They want control.
They don't care what happens to the land.
No.
But the government takes the quantity of water back, right?
Yeah, it's their rights now. That deer's theirs. That water's theirs. That's called, that's politics. That's why people, when they, like, it's called a taking, but a taking is subjective, right? A taking can be subjective. That's just politics. When you vote for people, this is the stuff that happens. There's one side that wants control, a lot in this state. They want control. King County kind of runs the show, because that's where all the people live. So it's difficult, right? And they don't really, you think about if you're in an apartment in King County and you're one of 1 million, 2, whatever, right? 1 million people, you don't have acreage. What are you talking about? I got city water. What the hell are you talking about? We should not, people shouldn't be able to just spread water all over the land. That's a commodity. That's a resource that all the people should share. You see how easy in politics that it can be spun? If you're unfamiliar with what you're talking about, like the farmers that bring in the food, and we saw it in COVID, like they realized that grocery stores didn't raise the food. Or the toilet paper. Like what? Toilet paper from China? What are you talking about? So this is all, I'm using these as real life examples. But let's say I buy this land anyway, and it has 4 legal lots of record, and I take that well and I make that well a shared well into 4, which is called the Group B water system. Let's say I buy it on an owner contract. One of the things that I can put on an owner contract is what's called a deed release provision, which says, look, I'm going to sell these off one at a time, and every time I sell one off, you're going to release that part of the deed. So there's 4 legal lots of record. I buy them all at once. And then I say, every time I sell one, you're going to release your lien that I owe you in exchange for some money. Let's say 25% of what I owe you. So let's say I buy it for 100 grand. Keep it simple. And it came with 4 legal lots of record. I have a well. I can turn the well into 4 hookups with what's called a Group B system with an exempt well. You don't need water rights. It's a domestic well. I make that all work, and then I sell, oh, by the way, I tell the seller, if I sell one of these lots, because I'm gonna mess around with it, I'm gonna advertise it, I'm gonna create water to each one of them and power to each one of them, then I'm gonna give you 25% of the 100 grand that I owe you, in addition to my monthly payment. And then once I give you an extra principal payment, you're gonna release your lien, so I can sell it to this person. And then I can maybe sell that for 25,000 down for 50,000. Or I can just get cash. So I can sell, that way I can sell the land to pay off my loan. But you have to have a deed release provision, a part of the contract that says that's okay up front.
Is that a box on the financing form or a lawyer write up?
The lawyer, I think it's typically lawyers, yeah.
Yeah, there's no box.
Yeah, that's too much.
Yeah, so.
Write down.
Okay. But think about this, like, when you start to learn these little things, it's like any other knowledge, it starts to stack. Right? Somebody asked me, you asked me, like, where'd you learn this shit?
Trial and error.
We're just hanging out with a real estate attorney for 20 years.
No, they don't know anything. They really don't. No offense, real estate attorneys. Civil engineers are just about as bad.
It's actually a valid question, though. Do you have an answer for that, or you don't even know?
You know what it's like? It's just like being in the game, like just paying attention, being in the game, trying to learn from everyone you can, trying to have conversations with as many people that'll have them with you over a period of time. Like it's knowledge stacks. The problem is they change the rules all the time. So it's like, that's why I often say I was never smarter than when I was 21. I thought I knew everything. I really knew about this much, but in my head, I was like, yeah, I got this. Now that you do something for a long time, you realize how much you don't know. And it's like, I really know that I don't know very much, because I know there's so much to learn. But that's okay, because that is the opportunity to have that. I want to have a quest for land use knowledge. I want to be a part of these things. I want to learn what's happening. What do you mean there's a Department of Natural Resources map that has hypothetical creeks and rivers on it? I mean, hypothetical, like they don't exist. And then they weaponize it and say, well, you can't get a boundary line adjustment because there's a river running through your property. What?
Ashley's high.
Like, what?
Are they saying that's like a natural division that you can't cross over?
Oh, they're saying there's a river there, you can't do it. They're weaponizing a map that is inaccurate. There's just that's a recent example. I say they, typically staff. One of the questions I asked Dan Beardsley, now he's been in this game 60 years. He wrote most of the code in Chelan County, so he's very, very smart. And he's like, I was telling a friend of mine this morning after that call, he's the last of the defenders of property rights. There was a guy before him or with him named Jack Horning that owned the John's Real Estate Company that would go to every meeting and tape everybody, audio tape everybody, and had a lot of money. So they were watchdogging people. But I'll tell you what, man, it's getting wild out there, and these property rights that are being taken on a daily basis are dangerous for the government, for us, in real estate. And you have to stay up on it as much as you possibly can. Unfortunately, the people behind the counter that you send people to walk up to and talk to at the county or the city, they don't know 50 years of land use code. Sorry to say, nor should they. They don't pay enough. So you can't really trust what they say. You really have to know who to go to. What expert advisors do we go to? And I have some, but I'm a little worried about it when, he's been around 60, 70 years, whatever it is.
When he leaves, I don't know.
Like, Danny's also, there's some good ones out there. There's some really good people out there.
Start recording every conversation you have.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, so it's just know that if you decide to start taking advantage of that, start like boldly going into those land listings. Go get those appointments. And then if you would like to call me, I'm happy to help you get prepared for that listing.
So
Go ahead.
is one of the main things that we should do when we're getting a listing is, do you have water rights? And if they say yes, do we just say, have they been used in a lot? Have you watered? Because they can't just like turn on the sprinkler for an hour, like once a year they have to actually use it. So is that the question that we ask, or is there like other things?
If it's irrigation water and it's private,
Yeah.
so it's a well or like a pump in a creek, and it's not part of a system.
Yeah.
If it's the summertime, you can look around and go, is this green? Are you using it? Because it's all being put to beneficial use.
See, I thought it had to be like if your zoning is agricultural and you have and you don't use it for that specific. Oh, okay.
No, there's,
Something.
this is a good example though. There's layers to this. This is why people are complicated. There's acre feet per acre feet, right? So there's a hoof rule, which means my cows drink the water. So that can perfect it. That can help put it to beneficial use. It's not as much acre feet as like an orchard, or like a vineyard is less than an orchard, but more than a hoof rule. So there's all these, if you want to like have some really light reading, just start diving into the code.
Light reading. I'll start doing that.
Literally make your nerves nice and calm.
Does it?
Yeah, there you go.
It it puts you all over the place with different rules, and
So
then
the answer is, I don't really have a great answer. Ask me in the moment.
it's every piece is different.
Yeah.
So like when someone says, like there's a lot of people that say like crazy questions like, hey, what's the per acre foot of water frontage?
Mhm.
Oh, you mean level, zero level waterfront, low bank? Or do you mean like
Mhm.
high cliff bank? Or do you mean like
Yeah.
buildable, not buildable? Like,
Mhm.
so if somebody answers you like, it's $6,000 a foot, they don't know. They're bullshitting you.
Mhm.
They're guessing because somebody at the bar told them a number.
Mhm.
He's been talking this down.
Yeah. It's like every piece of property is unique to itself. So instead of looking at it like, wow, I want certainty in my life. I want to make sure I don't get in trouble. That's fine, but don't do that. Go boldly into it and go, I can learn about this piece of property. And then I can help you. If you call me, go, I'm gonna go I got a listing appointment to go look at some land. And Kyle's and Jeff, there's a lot of people that are into this land stuff. Paul, Marcia. And then we have other sources that we can hook up, and a lot of them will work for free for a little bit, I mean, because they've worked with us a long time. You know, the guy in Missouri that is a licensed surveyor in Washington, he was under Dan Beardsley for 10 years, and he goes out. So he worked in Chelan for Erlinson and Associates. So he learned how to see things from a different perspective. And then there's different companies. And then here's the real challenge. There's interpretations of the law, not the law itself, right? So, but just if you get into land use and you get into owner contracts, you will insulate yourself in this business because you are literally a fraction of who's in business. You become the expert, period. Because, you know, I asked, what's his name in Spokane? Who's that guy under Bruce?
Oh, shit. See?
Mhm. His OP is.
Chaz?
Chris,
Really?
Apologize, that's blank.
No, it's fine.
That's so weird. Early onset. I asked him, out of 350 agents in Spokane, how many are experts in land use? He said maybe 5%.
Nichols,
Nichols, what's his first name?
Chris,
Chris? I feel like it's
No,
started
he's a
with a
mortgage
C.
broker.
No,
I
that's
think.
mortgage broker.
Yeah. He's a mortgage broker, by the way, that has a loan on rental income property that is a no qualifying loan. You need a 720 credit score, and appraisal documents the income, and he'll loan you the money. So, 12:45, guys. I wanted to just kind of touch the surface of these two, like things like land use, zoning, land use code, all that, owner financing. Start thinking about that in a positive light, and then I'll leave you with like, call me if you have a listing. Call me if you run into something, and text me if I don't answer. Because if I answer my phone, I never have a conversation. So I'm usually having a conversation with somebody, even if it's just myself.
Well, that's honesty. That's good.
All right. Any questions?
Thank you, Russ.
Thank you for showing up. There's 58 agents in this office. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 here. That's exactly.
Go team. Positivity.
That's how it is though. I mean, at the end of the day, that's not everybody. I'm just saying that I'm telling you, everybody can use more information. And if you aren't showing up to learn, you're falling behind. Because there's two things, knowers and learners, right? I say this a lot. There's two types of people, knowers and learners. The knowers are the people often not in the room, not on Zoom. The knowers. Here's the challenge in a shifting market. They become the people that are perfectly prepared for a world that no longer exists. The learners win every time. But you have to decide that I'm going to spend time learning, because the world that I'm standing on, the business, that game I'm playing, that I want to be competitive in it, the rules are changing. So when you think you've got it figured out, get really, really nervous, because the world's already changed. You just haven't seen it, right? Ask Blockbuster. They own the whole world. And then Netflix, Blockbuster's dead. And that's a great, there's a lot of examples in business like that. So if you're a knower or learner, you gotta decide like, oh, I'm busy. I'm really busy. Then schedule your freaking appointments around the class and take control of your business, take control of your client so the client doesn't take control of you. Start acting like you're an expert advisor instead of like that guy that goes to the doctor and is not a doctor. He goes, here's how you're gonna operate on my brain. I need brain surgery. And the doctor goes, okay, I'll listen to you. If the doctor says that to you, you have the wrong doctor because you're not one. So when you talk to a client and you let the client tell you what to do, you have a problem right out of the gates. They're not the expert, you are. I don't mean a jerk about it, but at the same time, how many clients want to push you around? So you have to schedule your brain or your life, your business around knowledge, or you will never win the long game. You just won't. There will be somebody else digging deeper, learning more about whatever's changing that you don't even know about. And you sitting there thinking you're all that in a bag of chips. Good luck. So prioritize. It doesn't have to be me, of course. It can be it can be a lot of different ways. And I'm not saying everybody that's not on this call or in this room isn't doing that. There's a lot of ways to do it. But just look around the industry and ask yourself how many people that give a shit about their intelligence. Their IQ in that business they're playing. Are they learning new plays? Or are they playing the same play they played 10 years ago, 5 years ago? That's not working. They just keep acting like it's working. It's a lip game. It's bullshit. That's how you win, they lose. It's a competitive industry that we're in. Easy barrier to entry. It's a hard business to be successful. It takes a lot of damn work, a lot of focus, a lot of pride, and no effing negotiation. It's not an effing negotiation. Right here. Okay. That was more positive, wasn't it?
Hey, bye.
That felt good.